Hello everyone, let's learn some data types of Python today. So Python already has a lot of data types built in into it, and we call that built-in data types. So there are a lot of data types in Python actually. Let me summarize them one by one. Actually, I can't summarize all of them in a single video. That would be too much boring for you anyway. So I am trying to cover at least some basic concepts which are necessary if you are learning Python for the first time. All right. So firstly, we have text type. Let me comment it here. We have text type and we call that string, and we represent that as str, all in the lowercase. All right. So any kind of word or any kind of sentence or any kind of paragraph, any type of letter can be considered as a string. Let me give you an example first. So let's say I'm declaring a variable named a, and you have to keep in mind that a string always has quotation in it. All right. So whenever you want to write a string, you have to make sure that you have used quotation, whether it's single quote or double quote. And if you are wondering whether there are some differences between single quote and double quote, there are, and I have already covered them in another video. If you have missed that already, then I would recommend you to check that out as soon as possible, at least before watching this video, right? So there goes our string. Let's say this is a string. So it is a string, and I can obviously print that here, as you see. Okay, this is an string, as simple as that. And obviously I can use double quote as well. So let's see, make sure that you don't randomize the quotations. That means if you are using single quote, then you have to make sure that you are using single quote in the other side as well, and the same goes for the double quote also. All right, so print a, and as you can see, it's working perfectly. So there goes that. And next we have numeric types. Numeric types means that those actually contain number. Let's say 1 2 3 4 5, let's say 2.56 or something like that. You can also it can also contain many complex numbers, but maybe this is not a good idea to cover complex number in this video. So I am going through integer and float. All right, so how you can remember those? Let's say what I was telling you earlier, that we have numeric type, and as you can probably understand that this numeric already consists something like number type, right? So these are nothing but numbers. That's it. All right, so we have something like integer. Integer means those numbers which doesn't have any floating in them, or those complete number which doesn't have any radix point in them. Any kind of complete number, full number without any fractional value is considered as integer. So let's say I'm declaring a variable, let's say x, and I am storing 54 in it. You see that I haven't added any point something or any fractional value here. If I add any fractional value, then that becomes a float number. I'm coming to that part later. Simply let me cover it. So x equal to 54, this is an integer. How I can understand it is an integer? Because first of all, it is a number. Second of all, it doesn't contain any fractional value like this, like this or something like that. And keep in mind that numeric type doesn't contain or doesn't have any quotation. Because let's say, let me give you an example first. You see that in line number 11 I have added x equal to 54. That's cool, right? But let's say if I add any quotation here, whether single quote or double quote, it instantly becomes string. All right, because as you know that whenever we want to write any string, we have to use quotation, whether that is single quote or double quote. So you can't use any quotation in numeric data. All right, so there goes our integer like this. If I simply print it, you see it's working. All right, now let's come to the second type of numeric data, and that is float. So what is float actually? Whenever we want to print or whenever we want to work with fractional value, fractional value means it has radix point in it. Let me give you an example first. Let's say y equal to, let's say 45.89 or something like that. You see that I have I have a radix point here, or you can say that this is a fractional value. This is not a complete value, right? Because it has something outside of this full integer part. So we call these type of values as float values. And if I want to print it, obviously I can do that like this. So you see, whenever I am printing it, I'm getting the floating value, right? And there are a thing called complex number, complex data type, that is also included in numeric type, because that also consists number. But I don't think that this video is appropriate for showing that right now. All right, and there are something like sequence types, list, tuple, range, mapping type like dictionary, set types like set, frozen set, boolean type like bool, binary types like byte, byte array, then memory view, none type like none type. But I'm not going to cover those here because this is the very basic and earlier stage in Python if you're simply starting learning Python with me. So don't worry, I'm going there sequentially whenever I am working on there. Whenever we would work on any project or anything relevant to those, I'm going to show those then. But I can show you the boolean, I suppose, right now, right? So yeah, I can show you that. So what is boolean? Boolean means yes or false, sorry, yes or no, or true or false. All right, so let's say I'm declaring a variable named z, and I can simply write this true. If I want to print it, I can do that, as simple as that. And boolean is like this, it can only contain true or false. All right, so for this, let us confine ourselves between true and false, where we use those and why we need these type of things. We are going to cover those later. But even though I'm not going to cover the complex part or mapping types, set types, maybe it's a good idea that I write those down here, because if you are interested, then you can check them out and learn earlier if you want, right? So another one of the numeric type was the complex, and I have given you a very basic example of boolean, and I can do those like in sequence types as well. Let's say sequence. In sequence we have list, we have tuple, we have range. All right, sequence type. And in mapping type, we have dictionary, and we represent that as DICT. All right, we don't write the full form dictionary. Okay, and we have set types, and in the set types we have set and frozen set. We have frozen set. There goes our set type. I have already covered numeric type. All right, we have binary types as well, binary type, and in binary type we have bytes, we have byte array, and we also have memory view. We have these, and we have another type, and we call that none type. Why is that? Because this is very interesting. Maybe I should create a separate video for it. So for now, let me simply write those down here. All right, so there goes pretty much most of the data types that you might need in Python. I have simply covered the simple string type and numeric type, and I haven't talked much about boolean type. But for the rest of the data types, I'm going to make separate videos. All right, so see you then.